Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to This Week in Marketing, brought to you by the San Diego chapter of the American Marketing Association.
All right, welcome back to a very special episode of This Week in Marketing. I'm your host. We got Bill Wynn here in the studio. We're talking about Art of Marketing 2019. Bill, you want to take it away?
Yeah, so joining us in the studio now is Cheryl Goodman, who is a good friend of mine, she is the head of corporate communications at Sony North America. Good morning, Cheryl. Welcome.
Good morning.
So Cheryl actually is a past guest on this show. She joined me, a couple of years ago now, right?
Yeah.
We talked about diversity. And Cheryl was one of my favorite guests of all time because she's one of those people that if you ask her a question about something she's passionate about, she can give you 15 minutes without breaking a sweat. So I love that about her. And so we're going to see if we can do the same thing again here today. So Cheryl's talk is called From Under Fire to On Fire, How Sony Reversed Course and Rediscovered Its Mojo. So in a second, we'll kind of go into what that means and how it might be relevant for the people there that day. But Cheryl, you and I know each other from your time at Athena,
Yeah.
right? Which is an organization that focuses on women in tech and also in leadership.
Right.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about kind of your move from there to Sony and kind of what brought you to Sony.
Yeah, no, it's actually a really great story. So Sony for many years has been a sponsor of Athena. I was just actually sharing with another person that Sony's mantra at large is think globally but act locally. So we support San Diego Chamber, the EDC, Athena, and so forth. And Mike Fasulo, our COO and president, was actually keynoting Athena a couple of years ago. And so I had to do the obligatory selfie with him. I'm like, come on, Mike, let's get a selfie. So built a relationship with him. And turns out that Mike values diversity and inclusion so much because it does impact the bottom line. People think it's the right thing to do. Well, that's true, it is. But the net in business, you want diversity and voice. And so he recruited me to be the head of PR. And it was a very tough decision to leave Athena. But the net is if I can have impact in technology, then that impact can be global as opposed to local.
Mm-hmm. So what does your job at Sony consist of?
Well, head of corporate communications for North America is a big job. We oversee Canada and, of course, the America market. We have activity in Mexico as well. But it really is understanding and radiating the brand, right? And, this talk that we'll be giving at the AMA is really about a 70-year company, 72-year-old company that has this tremendous ability of survivalship. And so each decade brought different challenges and different opportunities. And so my role is to uncover all that good that maybe, a current buying market forgot about, all that history, all that DNA that basically has been the foundation for a lot of other innovations that many people don't even know about. So Sony is this great story of innovation, history, integrity, and tenacity.
Awesome. And so talk a little bit then about kind of what we can expect to hear about at Art of Marketing, coming up in a couple months here.
Well, I'll give you the teaser version. How's that?
Awesome.
We don't want to spill the beans, right?
No, it's okay.
Want to sell those tickets, but
the more free stuff you give away, the more money you make.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, effectively, Sony, as a consumer electronics business, and I should add that Sony is a creative entertainment company. At the end of the day, I wish everyone could embed that. We have a studio. We have the largest music publishing record in the world, just acquired EMI November of last year. So, and consumer electronics. So when you think about all that wonderful content, that has to come through some type of hardware. And so Sony Electronics is the gateway to all this tremendous content. But consumer electronics and many manufacturers went through a correction of some sort, the industry at large. And so what I'll talk about is really the survival tactics that our leadership used. And that would be from Tokyo to my boss, President and COO, Mike Fasulo, the modalities that he used to reinvigorate the market and to re-engage the brand. As a result, we have hit the highest stock price in the last couple of years in the history of the company. So the consumers have responded to this.
Awesome. So you guys are competing in kind of this personal electronics space with a lot of very disruptive companies,
Yeah.
right? And so I can imagine that you have to go back to that innovation and creativity that's in your DNA, right, in order to compete. So how is Sony finding it to kind of hold its own among these kinds of companies that are so disruptive from Silicon Valley and
Right.
elsewhere?
Well, I think it really depends on what is your definition of success. There are consumer electronics manufacturers who define success as market share. Well, you can have tremendous market share but not have profitability. Our strategy is premium and profitability. So the net is we don't have to be everywhere, but where we are, we're the best. And where we are is you're going to get a premium experience. And so that is part of that formula from coming under fire to being on fire, having this premium experience.
Yeah, and I've always thought that one of the more kind of important discussions brands can have is not just who they are, but who they are not. Right.
That's great.
So it
yes.
sounds like you guys have very much had that conversation.
Yeah, who we are not. And the net is when you look at the history of Sony, and actually I'll just do a plug. We just had a great article in San Diego Magazine. I think the URL is sandiegomagazine.com/Sony. But the net is we talk about this deep technical history that enables expertise not only in just TVs or audio, but semiconductors, sensors, robotics, medical industry. I mean, when you really start to unpack what Sony is, it is broad, but where we are broad, and bear with me because this may not make sense, we are deep in those verticals.
Sure.
So it's going to be core expertise. So in the case, I'll use an example, 4K TVs and 4K resolution, this is great because you have this beautiful visual experience. But if you're having laser surgery and the difference between a pixel at its highest performance could be life and death. So you want that type of technology when you're when you have something of that importance.
So we've got about 2 minutes left here, and so maybe you can talk in the brief time here about kind of the fact-finding mission that Sony went on to kind of understand the perception of the brand, right? And kind of what we can expect to hear about that process,
Yeah,
and
sure.
the kind of the revising of those perceptions that kind of has begun after that.
Well, I'll speak that in two different ways. So I've been at Sony now for a year and a half, and so when I first came in, I did a perception study, and what we had found is that we had really our innovation scores were low, the perception of innovation, and so what we really did is how do we actually demonstrate this innovation, and it's doing things like this. It's being part of the American or the marketing conference that's coming up. It's really getting the word out. So it's executional, and there's some strategy bits there too. I'll save that for the keynote. How's that?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So that about wraps us up here for today. Thank you, Cheryl, for coming
You're
in.
welcome.
Really appreciate it. Look forward to your talk, which is April 5th at the Del Mar Marriott. Please join us. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we just posted the full schedule for the conference last night, and so you can find that at artofmarketingsd.org/sessions. We've also got detailed information on all of our topics and all of our speakers. We are actively looking for any type of sponsorship partners that want to gain exposure to an audience of 250 to 300 of San Diego's best and brightest marketers. So hope you'll join us, whether you're an attendee or a sponsor. Again, April 5th, Del Mar Marriott. Thank you, Sam, for having us in today.
Anytime.
Appreciate you, like I said, clearing the runway across the street from Miramar.
All right. Well, that's been a great show, and I'm really excited to call us out here. So have a great morning, everybody, and we'll see you at the Art of Marketing 2019. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day